Okay. 1 second. Let me get my camera up and rolling here. I have to say, I am very surprised. This was very, very awesome to watch. And I truly am just shocked at how this Bulls team was able to come back in this one. This was, I think we can officially put it down that this was the best game of the year. Talk about this Bulls team was down 23 and they win by 21. Flip of the script completely, and we see this Bulls team take a game against the second seed in the Western Conference, and they have Ja Morant back. This is shocking. I legit, when I looked at this Bulls schedule moving forward, and I'm like, okay, I think this Bulls team is just kind of dead set that they're going to make the play-in tournament, but we're not going to really see them go very far. If anything, we're going to see this team just get the 10 seed, maybe the 9 seed, and, maybe they win a game, but they're not moving forward. But suddenly now, things just got very interesting because they won this game. Now, there's still a lot of things that has to go the Bulls' way to even get to, the 8th seed. But this win right here is humongous for the rest of this season. It's only 4 games left, but I had the Bulls 100% losing this game. They won this game. Oh my God, what just happened? So, I am very, very, very surprised, and I am very happy to see this from the Chicago Bulls team, that they actually put up a big fight. And I think the biggest thing that yet again we're just going to be talking about is shot selection and just pace of play and how you play this game, right? There's a very clear difference from the first half to the second half in this one. Now, I'm just going to come out and say I wasn't able to watch much of the first half, all right? But I was able to check in a few times, and I saw what was going terrible in that first half. And that second half, I was able to watch that entirely, and we saw a completely different team. We saw a modern style team in that second half, and it just warms my heart to finally see this from this Bulls team. When the Bulls play in modern day basketball, I'm not saying that it's always going to be like this where you completely flip a script of a half, but you're going to see more consistent play like this. Just better overall consistent play from this Bulls team when they play modern basketball. It's an amazing thing when a team can play modern style basketball and beat a team like the Memphis Grizzlies, who also play modern style basketball. Okay, this Bulls team, I have to give them the biggest credit of them all, and the biggest credit for this entire game was the turnovers. Okay, I don't care what half it was. If you turn the ball over against this Memphis Grizzlies team, they are one of the best teams, if not the best team, in transition. Okay, this Memphis Grizzlies team relies on transition points. Okay, that's what this entire Memphis Grizzlies team's identity is. They struggle, and I say struggle, in the half court. Okay, this Memphis Grizzlies team is solely built on their transition offense. Okay, or I should say their good defense into their transition offense. It sounds very similar to the Bulls, right? But we see that this Memphis Grizzlies team, they struggle even more than the Bulls in the half court. Okay, this Grizzlies team, you cannot turn the ball over against them. It is crucial that you don't do that. And the Chicago Bulls came out tonight and said, we are not going to turn the ball over. And they did just that. That is the biggest thing of this entire game. You did not let the Memphis Grizzlies get out in transition because you turned the ball over. 1 turnover in this game. That is fantastic. Give big credit to all the players for not turning the ball over tonight. This was huge. If they turn the ball over even just 10 times, they might lose this game. Because this Grizzlies team just absolutely kills you in transition. They're that good. Also, one of the biggest things that I always say against this Grizzlies team, you have to make shots. You have to make shots against this Grizzlies team, because we even saw it in the first half. If you miss shots against this Grizzlies team, they're going, right? They're out in transition, they're running, they have Ja Morant, they got athletes everywhere, they got speed and length everywhere on the court, okay? That's the Grizzlies. They will do this all the time. And we saw them just do that in that first half. Second half, though, what happened? The Bulls decided we're going to finally make some shots. They also played some very, very good defense. Again, It was both sides of the ball for this Bulls team, but I really just cannot stress enough how important it was that this Bulls team started to make some shots. If you make shots against this Grizzlies team, they're forced to play in the half court, and the Bulls took advantage of that. Again, this Grizzlies team in the half court struggles. They're a much worse team in the half court. They're not entirely terrible, but they struggle, right? So if you're able to make shots, it's going to help your defense against this Grizzlies team. They did just that. 128 points to 107. That's the game, right? Complete flip to the script, completely different half. Awesome to see from this Bulls team that they were able to put up a fight. They had a good game plan. I'm going to give Billy Donovan some credit here. They had a good game plan overall. That first half was a struggle, though. We saw some things that weren't exactly great. But that second half, they stuck to that game plan. And that was awesome to watch. So Billy Donovan deserves a lot of credit for this one because he had a good game plan coming into this. It was very evident that the Bulls were very, very aware to not turn over the basketball. That's huge, right? That's little details that I expect this coaching staff to actually know, and they knew it for this game. So give them credit for this one, but obviously moving forward, I don't know how much I trust them, but I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Don't turn the ball over. You got to make some shots against this Grizzlies team. They did just that. You win this game. Awesome. Awesome stuff. Now, one thing I want to just kind of look at here is just, again, I always do this in this stream, is shot charts, okay? First half shot charts. Look at this. Bulls did score well in the paint. They didn't shoot enough in the paint, in my opinion, okay? You have to shoot more shots in the paint here, all right? But we see in the second half, different story. You look at how many shots are just clustered up in the restricted area right here. That's good offense. That's good, efficient shots. And look at how many shots the Bulls took in the paint. Look at how many they made, right? The Chicago Bulls in this game, they had 70 points in the paint compared to the Grizzlies 36. You want to talk about a game plan? This was a game plan, right? The Chicago Bulls did everything that they wanted to. They wanted to force this Grizzlies team to shoot threes, not give up points in the paint, and we were going to destroy them on the inside. Look at that. 70 points in the paint to 36. Big thumbs up. Awesome. Fast break points. Bulls had 28 fast break points. Most of these came in the second half. The Bulls did not have that many fast break points coming into the second half. A lot of the fast break points came in that second half when the Bulls just absolutely turned it up. So, yeah, big credit. The rebounding disparity is kind of ridiculous in my opinion. But yet again, I just point out this Grizzlies team again. If you aren't hitting shots, if you turn the ball over, they're gonna kill you, right? They're gonna get the defensive rebound. They're not gonna give up second chance opportunities. This is what the Grizzlies team is gonna do. But those Chicago Bulls, they did not let that happen in the second half. The disparity is big, obviously, but we see here that the rebounding in the end, you have to start making shots because this number right here could have easily been in the 60s if the Bulls decided not to make some shots, right? This was something that I was kind of looking at. But if you make shots, right, this Grizzlies team isn't gonna get that rebound and get out on you in transition. Big keys in this entire game. Grizzlies also turned it over a ton. I don't exactly really know what they were doing a lot in that second half. Jaren Jackson Jr. was like the only guy that I'm like, yeah, you had a really good game. Desmond Bane had a decent game too, but he had 4 turnovers. John Moran had 5. Everybody has turned the ball over, which was kind of crazy to watch in this one. So, you just saw this Grizzlies team when they were forced into a half court offense. They struggle. That's how this Grizzlies team operates. They struggle in that half court. So it's important that you make shots. It's important you don't turn the ball over. It's important you get back on defense to force them to a half court situation. You do that, this is the result that you get. So just overall incredible stuff to see that this Bulls team finally figured it out in the second half. I will say this because even Kobe White kind of alluded to it in his post-game interview. The Chicago Bulls were kind of doing what they kind of wanted to do in that first half. There are obviously some stuff in that first half where things were just going wrong, right? There was a lot of stuff in that first half where it's just like, oh man, that wasn't good. The defense wasn't there. But the Chicago Bulls were really forcing the Memphis Grizzlies to take contested threes in that first half. The thing was, though, is that the Grizzlies were making them, right? Now, what the Bulls were doing, though, which was a good thing, was that the Grizzlies were not getting to the paint, right? And this is a Grizzlies team that relies on paint points, okay? If you want to talk about NBA points in the paint, right? This Grizzlies team is one of the best in the league, right? Hell, they're number 1 coming into this game, okay? In this season, this Memphis Grizzlies team, they average 58.6 points in the paint. The Chicago Bulls, they kept it to 36. So I understand that, you know, 3-point shot was just destroying the Chicago Bulls team, but what they were doing was limiting this Memphis Grizzlies team to points in the paint, right? I've said all season that Billy Donovan deserves a lot of credit for his defense. This is the reason why, okay? This team relies, their entire identity is points in the paint. That's all they do, right? And hell, they have John Morant, who's one of the most explosive scorers in this game at the rim as a guard, right? You held this team, who is second in the Western Conference, who is the best team in terms of points in the paint, to 36 points in the paint. You outscored them at points in the paint, 70-36. To me, coming into this game, I thought this would be flipped. I thought it would be that the Bulls would get wrecked in the paint. Bulls could not score in the paint. That did not happen tonight. This is why this defense has been solid for a good amount of the season. I understand that first half did not look great, but there was at least some little stuff that I was like, okay, at least that's happening, right? And again, if you force this Memphis Grizzlies team to play half court and not give up paint points in the half court, this is what happens. You force them into a very, very tough situation because, again, their half court offense is nowhere near their transition offense. Okay, so just awesome stuff tonight. I just cannot praise this team enough for how good they fight it, how good they stuck to the game plan. Great defensive game plan. The offensive game plan was a little bit shaky, but it got figured out. And obviously, you know, when this Bulls team is out and running, they're the best. They look like one of the best teams in the league, right? Big. I'm talking huge. This man right here deserves a lot of credit, okay? He did not hesitate on his 3-point shots today. That's what I'm talking about, Patrick Williams. Don't hesitate on your 3-point shots. When you don't hesitate on 3-point shots, good things happen. This dude was just shooting the 3-ball with full confidence, was not even thinking about it, and he was draining them. Especially in that second half, where he made his only 2 in the second half, right? That's what I need. This is why it's so important to see this Bulls team, especially guys that are the catch and think guys. Don't even think. Just don't even think about it. Shoot the ball. This is what happens. Awesome stuff. And one more thing that I have to do it because I am petty and I am just going to be this way for a long time when it comes to this Bulls team. Okay? I bookmarked a tweet that I saw in the second half. And this person here has a lot of followers on Twitter. And for some reason, he comes up on my feed all the time. I have said I don't want to see this dude's tweets anymore, but it still comes up. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what the Chicago Bulls did not do once in that second half? Actually, I shouldn't even say that, but you know what? They technically did one play. They did one play, and Vooch missed it. But the Chicago Bulls in that second half, they did not post up Nikola Vucevic. They straight up said, we're not going to Vooch. We're not going to go through Vooch. We're not going to post up Nikola Vucevic. Nikola Vucevic, his 2 points was off a 3-point shot in the corner in the second half and a pick and roll hook shot. That's how he scored his points in the second half. The Chicago Bulls do not need to rely on Nikola Vucevic to score points, okay? It bothers me seeing that this dude who is 21 years old is saying that we should be playing 90s style basketball. Because you know what the Chicago Bulls did not do in that second half? They did not play 90s style basketball. They played modern style basketball. They got out on that fast break. They were shooting threes. More importantly, though, they were getting points in the restricted area. Okay? We did not post up Vooch. We did not rely on Vooch. The recipe for this Bulls team is not posting up Vooch. Okay? The recipe for this Bulls team is to play modern basketball, play efficient basketball, and do not post up this man. Because guess what, Bulls Nation? We do not need to post up this man to score the basketball. We just put up 128 points, and Vooch did not get a post, or he got 1 post touch, and he missed it in the second half. Okay? Vooch is not an elite post scorer. The numbers say so. The elite post scorers in this league, there are only 2, and it's Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid. Okay? Nikola Vucevic is not in that category. We do not need to post up this man. The Bulls didn't in that second half. They outscored the Memphis Grizzlies almost by 50 points. It's a simple game. As Stacey King says, it's a simple game. It's a very simple game when you play efficient basketball and the numbers say so. Anyway, now that my pettiness is over. Nice to see you, chat. This is gonna unfortunately be like a shorter stream. I do have some work to do. I was able to catch this game though. At least most of the second half. The first half I was off doing a little some stuff in between, but I was able to catch most of this game. Yeah, let's hear your thoughts, guys, because this was awesome. Let's see. Tremendous showing, but let's not get over our heads. This type of play is not sustainable. I agree. This Bulls team is not going to turn it over one time. This Bulls team is not going to get 70 points in the paint, right? But it's this sort of play style that I think can be sustainable, right? It's like the overall numbers and everything is just not sustainable. You're not going to get 28 fast break points every single game, right? But you can always look to score, get more fast break points every single game. You're not going to get 28, but you can get, 13, 15, right? And that to me is sustainable. Yeah, full focus, full hustle. Yeah, that's also not going to be sustainable. And we even saw in the second half that there was some lapses defensively, specifically from Vucevic, that I was just like, okay, you know what? It's okay. But we won. It's all good. So let's go. Let's go on MC season. Yeah, this was crazy. 45 to 50 point swing. Oh, yeah. I don't even know the numbers, but I think it was a 45 point swing. Yeah. What was your reaction like going into in halftime? So, yeah, I kind of described my reaction going to halftime. There was some decent stuff, right? Again, you did not let the Grizzlies destroy you in the paint, which was obviously one of the biggest things coming to this game. The Grizzlies were just killing the Bulls from three-point range, right? And it's just always coming down to, wow, yet again, the Chicago Bulls just don't have three-point shooting, and the math problem is going to come back and bite them. Now, obviously, the three-point discrepancy was still big, right? But as I've been saying with this Bulls team, right? Like, if you're like, it's always so important that you need to score in there's three categories where you need to dominate in a game to win, right? It's either the three-point line, points in the paint, or in free throws. Okay, if you dominate two of those, you typically are going to win because mathematically it's going to work out in your favor. Okay, the Grizzlies dominated the three-point line today. They shot 43, they made 19, shot 44%. That's great for them. They dominated the three-point line. Bulls only hit 9 3-point shots and shot 28%, right? But the Bulls, they dominated the free throw discrepancy, right? 19 to 10. And then they dominated points in the paint. If you do those two things, right, which this Bulls team I feel like is more capable of doing, you're going to look a lot better, right? So this Grizzlies team, in that first half, they were just hitting shots. They were just hitting those three-point shots, and it was just killing this Bulls team in math, right? But second half, this Bulls team flipped the script where it's like, okay, we're going to get downhill, we're going to get points in the paint, we're going to dominate points in the paint, and then we're going to get to the free throw line. They did just that. Memphis, they were still hitting some threes, but it didn't matter at the end of the day because they weren't scoring in the paint, right? So at the end of the day, this is what happens. Take away the bad three-point shooting, and it was nearly a perfect game tonight. Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think more so it was nearly a perfect second half. Again, the first half there was some stuff, some mid-range shots. I mean, the one thing that makes me cringe is when I always look at the game charts and I see this, right? Look at how many misses are just here out of just this area, right? That to me it makes me cringe, but I understand that this is how this Bulls team is going to operate. DeMar DeRozan, right? And DeRozan had a very bad first half, so I understand this is how it's going to operate. But it is what it is. But if that's how you're going to operate, then you got to score more in here, right? Because you're trading off three-point shots for mid-range shots. But if you're going to do that, you got to score in the paint, which the Bulls, they weren't exactly doing an amazing job in the first half. They were doing it, but it wasn't at a high enough level. Second half, again, completely different story. You can just see how many shots they got in the restricted area. Big difference, right? That three-point shooting, it was, people showed aggressive on both sides of the court tonight. I felt like a preview of what's to come. Yeah. No post-ups tonight. Yeah. Modern basketball, you can shoot threes. It's not just shoot threes, though, Anthony, right? Modern style basketball, to me, is always this. There's always more than just shoot threes, right? That shooting threes is part of it. But Bulls, fast break points. This is modern style basketball. 28 fast break points. Modern style basketball. Points in the paint. You dominate points in the paint. That's modern style basketball, right? And then points off of turnovers. The Memphis Grizzlies, they rely on this, right? They didn't do that tonight, right? But the Bulls had 31 points off of turnovers. That's also modern style basketball, okay? This is stuff that I'm always looking at. These are the things that I think this Bulls team needs to always dominate. Now, recently, the points off of turnovers, they've been dominating that category, right? But it's the half-court offense, which for some reason is actually ranked pretty high. But I always say that, like, this Bulls team, they might score always, or they score at a high enough level in the half-court offense where it doesn't, like, they'll average like a point per possession or something. But at the same time, they're not exactly scoring three-point shots, right? And they're not getting to the free throw line. And how they get their twos aren't exactly amazing. So the half-court offense, I always still say is still an issue, even though they're somehow like ranked in the top 15. But this to me is more important, right? You gotta get these if you're the Chicago Bulls to play modern style basketball, and they did just that, right? And if you don't turn the ball over, right, the Memphis Grizzlies can't get points off turnovers, right? Again, simple game. Don't turn it over. Memphis can't score off turnovers. They still did though have 10 fast break points, which again they rely on that. Bulls did a good job eventually starting hitting some shots, and if you start hitting shots, you don't have to worry about fast break points with this Memphis team, right? Because if you force them half court, it's a different game. So yeah, this is what it comes down to with this Bulls team, right? Modern style basketball isn't just shooting threes. It's a lot more than just that. It's paint points, free throw line, fast break points, points off turnovers, right? That all matters at the end of the day in terms of modern style basketball. This Bulls team, they have been trying to get the fast break points up. They're trying to play better in transition, but they struggle because the personnel is not there, right? When you have Nikola Vucevic and DeMar DeRozan on your team, you're not going to play as fast all the time. That lineup where the Bulls, they went small, where they had Zach out there with basically 4 bench guys. It was DeSumo, White, Levine, Patrick Williams, and Derrick Jones Jr., right? To me, that's like, I understand that the small ball lineup has been bad. Like, there's been bad moments, especially with Billy Donovan not exactly putting the small ball lineup in the best situations, right? But we saw that small ball lineup work to perfection in that end of the third quarter, because we saw them all. It was switch everything in defensively, get deflections, run out in transition, score in transition, right? That's how you play with the small ball lineup, right? And that's how you take advantage of a small ball lineup. The Bulls, for some reason, though, every time they go small, they're not always doing that, right? Because even if, let's say, the opposing team scores, you can still play up-tempo with the small ball lineup. So I just loved what I saw from the small ball lineup tonight, where they actually executed properly and they actually did what they're supposed to do, right? And I think Donovan also did a little bit better job of putting the small ball lineup in at the right time and not just putting it in when he thinks he needs a spark, right? Does he won this game on Benny's birthday? Oh, wow, I didn't even know that. But yeah, awesome. That's awesome to hear. Simple game. Yep. It's a simple game, everybody. It's a simple game when you don't post up Nikola Vucevic, because that's exactly what we're not supposed to do. Anyway, though, I just also want to point this out. DeRozan and like Zach also, like, I don't think Zach had a terrible first half, but I want him to be more aggressive. Okay, he was 4 for 7. I do appreciate he was 2 for 4 from 3-point range in the first half, which he should be, right? He needs to shoot at bare minimum 4 per half. But these two guys, they really carry the workload, right? Especially in the offensive end. Again, as I've always said, it is more beneficial to this Bulls team if these two guys are scoring and these two guys have the ball most of the time and are the guys that are playmaking the most, because again, modern style basketball, Vooch doesn't have the ability to create his own shot off the dribble, right? When these two guys have that ability, right, and they're actually working and they're, they have it going, this Bulls team is hard to guard, right? So these two guys did a really good job tonight. I want to give a lot of praise for what they did. And DeRozan really had a really good second half after atrocious first half. Like, his shooting percentage was Zach, he then really was aggressive in that second half, which as he should be, right? And we've seen that Zach has been pretty aggressive since the All-Star break, right? He also did, though, have 5 assists come into halftime. He then had 9 for the game. No turnovers. Again, biggest thing to me was no turnovers from either DeRozan or Levine, who averaged over 2 per game, right? So these two guys, not only did they, do a much better job in the second half, they also did a really good job of sticking to the game plan of, we're not turning it over tonight, right? We just can't. Straight up just can't. And they did just that. So, awesome stuff that we saw from these two guys. Yet again, I just want to point out, modern basketball, right? If Levine is having like a poor shooting night, right? Modern basketball matters, because you're going to end up scoring more points even though you're not going to make as many shots. But also modern style basketball matters, because if you are actually taking efficient shots, there's a good chance that you shoot a high percentage from the field, right? 68% from a guard is no joke. And obviously 8 free throws is good. He shot 3 of 8 from 3-point range, which is also good. That's good, right? When you play modern style basketball, good things happen. Now DeRozan, 0 for 4 from 3 isn't exactly great. Again, he also had a terrible overall shooting half in the first half, but he was able to figure it out in the second half, which, it is mid-range, but I live with it because it is DeMar. As you see here, a lot of mid-range. He did get to the cup a little bit more, but again, you look at Zach and where he shoots, it's just a different game, right? Threes, right? Few mid-range, which is fine. Paint. That's what I want, right? By the way, when a guy only shoots 19 shots and puts up 36 points, that's a good thing. That's very good. Just so y'all know and you're aware. So I truly hope that the people start to understand what's happening. And one more thing, yet again, want to point this out. I don't think Vooch did anything wrong. I'm just saying that this is just the reality of the situation. Yeah, another double-double tonight, so give him credit for that. He shot 10 shots. As I say, Vooch doesn't need to score all the time for this Bulls team to figure things out. He does, in my opinion, need to score about 18 to 20 points per game. But if these two guys have it rolling and the other guys have it rolling, right, he doesn't need to score. It's not necessary. Okay, I just don't like seeing that a lot of people say that the only way that this Bulls team is actually going to score is if they post that Vooch. It's not the case. I see it all the time on Twitter. I just see it too much, and it bothers the absolute crap out of me. Yeah, that's that. Anyway, though, sorry, I want to check the time here. Okay, so about 10 more minutes for the stream today, guys, because again, I do have some more work to do, and I have to go do it. But I did want to stream a little bit after this one because this was just insane. But looking ahead here, okay, the Bulls' next game, in my opinion, is arguably the biggest game of the season. All right, in terms of what's at stake. Atlanta is coming into town. And the Chicago Bulls team, in my opinion, is the win against this Hawks team. Now, as I currently look at the standings here, things aren't exactly going amazing for this Bulls team, right? I don't think this Bulls team is going to get into the 8th spot right now. But the biggest thing right now that did happen is that the Toronto Raptors, they jumped up, right? Now, if you're not aware, Toronto won today. So the Raptors won. Bulls won, so no difference in what happened between the Raptors and the Bulls. Now, the Atlanta Hawks, though, this is going to be the interesting part. The Atlanta Hawks, later today, they play against the Dallas Mavericks, okay? They're playing right now. So, this game's on NBA TV. This has big stakes, because if this Atlanta Hawks team actually loses, okay, the Chicago Bulls can officially take over their spot at number 9. Now, yet again, I'm just going to say this one more time. I don't think this Bulls team is getting the 8th seed, and to me, the only way that this Bulls team is going to make the playoffs is if they actually get the 8th seed. I think you have to, in my opinion, either play Miami first and win against Miami, or you have to, get the 8th seed, potentially lose against Miami, and then win then the next game, and then you get the 8th seed. Okay, but because of how things are shaping up, and because the Bulls don't have the tiebreaker against the Toronto Raptors, I think that the Bulls just are the chances of them making the playoffs are just not very good. Okay, I think that it's not a high possibility that you're gonna beat whoever loses a 7-8 matchup. Okay, but what I would like to see this Bulls team do is get home court advantage for this first game. Okay, because if they get the 9 seed and the Atlanta Hawks are the 10 seed, I feel a lot better about this Bulls team. Facing in a playoff time atmosphere, playing a team at home compared to a team on the road. I would like the Bulls to win that playing game, but then probably they're going to end up losing the second game of the playing tournament. And to me, that is just kind of the destiny right now, and I'll be okay with that in the end. But I still would want to see this Bulls team win this playing game, right? Win the first one against this Atlanta Hawks team. Just kind of establish that you're better than this Atlanta Hawks team, because this Atlanta Hawks team is not good, okay? We know that they're not good. They have a lot of struggles. They're also very similar where they don't shoot enough threes, right? And their defense is also having issues. This game against the Atlanta Hawks is going to determine, in my opinion, first off, the big thing at stake is the tiebreaker, right? Whoever wins this game has the tiebreaker for the rest of the season, right? And this Bulls team, they have, in my opinion, 2 tough matchups against Milwaukee and Dallas. Obviously, then Detroit's here. But if Atlanta, for example, loses this game against Dallas, okay, and then the Bulls then beat Atlanta on April 4th, I think the Bulls look very, very solid moving forward, okay? Because I don't expect Atlanta to go on like a 3-game winning streak or something like that. So in the end, the Bulls have the tiebreaker. They just then beat Atlanta, right? And you have a 1-game lead over them. I feel pretty confident, okay? But if you lose this one, that's going to kill you. So again, this is just my own personal goal, in my opinion. I want to see this Bulls team at least, play in a playoff type atmosphere, right? And ideally win a game, right? And in the end, in my opinion, just getting the playoff type atmosphere is just, it just cannot hurt. It's not a playoff game, right? But the playoff type atmosphere, I think, is going to be important for obviously guys like Zach, but then also the younger players like Kobe, Patrick Williams, and others, right? I want to see how the younger players really respond to a playoff type game, right? We officially, Kobe White is officially like a big part of this rotation now. How is he going to respond? Okay. Patrick Williams, he's still a big part of this rotation. He's coming off the bench. How is he going to respond? Okay. I want to see these guys respond to that sort of playoff type atmosphere. That, in my opinion, is important for this team as they develop. Getting 2 play-in games, that's 2 playoff type atmosphere games. I'll take it, right? Because again, I just don't think this Bulls team's making the playoffs. This Bulls team, in my opinion, even if we face the Milwaukee Bucks, it sucks, but I take it, right? I take those playoff games, but I in the end, again, I think that right now, because the Toronto Raptors, they're going to have home court advantage no matter if they ever face the Bulls. I just don't think this Bulls team is going to be able to beat the Toronto Raptors because they have more playoff experience in a playing game. So, in my opinion, it's just important to just win against the Atlanta Hawks and then, end up losing to the Raptors, and I think that's okay. Because I do think that a lot of Bulls fans actually want to be in the lottery for some reason, but they'll get their wish. Again, though, I just don't think it's realistic. If you can somehow beat the Toronto Raptors and get the 8 seed, that's even better. But again, I just don't see that happening, unfortunately, with this Bulls team. Because I think the Raptors and Heat are just better, unfortunately. What do you say to the people who say P. Will is a bust? I say to them that they put too much value, or they overvalue a pick, right? What I say to them is that a high overall pick does not always have to turn into an all-star for it to be not a bust, right? If Patrick Williams becomes OG Anunoby 2.0, that's not a bust. If Patrick Williams becomes a solid star, that's not a bust, right? Obviously, I want him to become an all-star. That'd be fantastic. I think that's the more ideal situation in the end. But as we all know, that it's hard to draft an all-star. It just straight up is. It's very hard to draft an all-star, okay? And with Patrick Williams, because he is 21 years old, I think it's stupid to call him a bust already. But also, I just think that he may not even be on his way to all-star level. But if he becomes a very, very solid star, which I think he is becoming, right, or is working his way towards, you can't ever call that a bust, okay? I think when people, like right now, at least for how things kind of look with that draft, I think James Wiseman, in my opinion, is at a lower level compared to Patrick Williams. Now, that's not saying that James Wiseman has played poorly this season. I'm just saying that James Wiseman missed the entire year. He then had to go back, he had to go down to the G League and kind of figure himself out. He's now in Detroit playing for a team that has no aspirations right now, and just they hope to get Wembanyama, right? And even in Detroit, the Detroit Pistons fans are kind of against him right now. To me, that's more of a bust than what Patrick Williams is. I'm aware that Patrick Williams has lost his starting job, but in my opinion, that does not mean that he's a bust. He's 21 years old. He's still developing. He is not a bust. Okay? Let's not label him a bust yet. Give him more time, because as we see, these guys need time, right? In the end. These guys need a lot of time to kind of figure things out and adjust to the NBA level. Especially for a forward that, in my opinion, is going to play a key role moving forward. It's not just going to come to them overnight, right? Yeah. Atlanta, just so you guys are aware about this matchup, okay? So, as you can see here, the Bulls are 29th with 3-point makes, the Atlanta Hawks are 25th. They're bad, okay? They don't make 3-point shots. Bulls shoot a higher percentage, but they don't take enough, okay? This game, in my opinion, is going to really come down to how much the Bulls are going to be able to contain Trae Young, and see how much the Bulls are going to be able to take advantage of transition opportunities, okay? That to me is going to be the most important thing. And also then, as we've always talked about with this Bulls team, the offensive rebounds cannot happen. As you see the Atlanta Hawks, they offensive rebound at a pretty decent rate. So if you're the Bulls, limit them. Do not let them get the offensive rebound. And you should be looking okay. All right. You'll be fine, especially when DeMar is gone. I do think that Patrick Williams will look a lot better if DeMar DeRozan is off the court. Like I honestly don't think it's a coincidence that, like, I think that him and Zach, they look pretty well when they're together on the court. I do think that they just overall look better. Like, you see how much more spacing there is on the court. You see that they're able to get to their spots a little bit better. I don't know. I'm just going off a pure eye test, especially in, like, you know, in today's game where we saw a good run from when both of them were just out there. I'm specifically talking about lineups where it's like you don't have DeMar out there, right? So I'm actually just gonna go look at this right now if I can. Player stats. Okay, I guess we're not gonna do that. Let's see. Let's look at different lineups. Oh, sorry. Hold on. 5-player, 2-player lineups. They're overall negative, so it's not exactly going amazing, I guess. But let's see here. They played decent amount of minutes. The 3-point percentage is at 40%, which is good. It's not horrible. I mean, a negative 1.6 isn't terrible. It's just it's not the biggest sample size. I mean, they have a decent sample size, but it's not exactly the greatest. But, you know, it is what it is. What is this one? Personal fouls drawn. I see. Okay. The biggest thing is that I just see the 3-point shooting is much better. I just overall think that I wish that they would actually, can I go to advanced maybe? Let's see. I want to see the offensive rating when it's just those two. Actually, hold on. Go back. Let's see. Zach and Patrick Williams. The defensive rating, no, they actually gave up a lot more. Never mind then. I'm just straight up wrong. The numbers say I'm wrong. I don't know, but these two guys are going to be with each other for like the longest period of time moving forward, right? It's these two guys. So they're going to have to kind of figure it out. Defensive rating is actually interesting to kind of see this, that it's not exactly, but it's also at the same time, Patrick Williams started a lot of games, and it's with these, and he's playing with Vooch and DeRozan, which that lineup itself isn't exactly the greatest defensively. The Zach and DeRozan net rating is at a 0. So things aren't exactly going great when your two stars are at a net rating of 0 in the end. In their 2-player lineup. So yeah. You're a GM, who would you trade DeMar to? Who would you try to get back? It's a rough say. I would be shopping DeMar DeRozan, and I think I've said this before a lot, but it's seriously it's a rough kind of situation to figure out. If like you're actively shopping DeRozan here, which again, Casey Johnson's kind of hinted at it. There's been some reports about it. Like there's some rumblings about it. I really don't know who I would be like. Yeah, I'm gonna trade DeRozan to this team, right? So the first team again that I've always kind of just said that just kind of pops out to my head, to my eye, is Denver Nuggets, and I don't want Michael Porter Jr. by the way. Like I mean. I'll definitely take Michael Porter Jr. for DeMar DeRozan, but that's not obviously going to happen, right? If the Denver Nuggets do that trade, they're dumb. But the reason why I say this is because the Denver Nuggets, they don't shoot a lot of threes, right? So like I feel like DeMar kind of fits their system already, that they already don't shoot a lot of threes, and they play like a little bit more of a slower tempo with Jokic out there, right? And with Denver, like I think that they could be looking at Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. and being like, okay, look, we like you guys, but both of them are probably not exactly what a second option, maybe, right? I do think that Jamal Murray is a very good player, but I do think that we see some sort of limitations on him. Michael Porter Jr. kind of really relies on other people to set him up, though, right? So maybe you could trade DeMar there and be like, here's your second option, right? You have Jokic, here's DeMar, here's your pick and roll partner. Maybe you can kind of figure it out. in that sort of trade, I mean, I'm not exactly looking at the greatest return back, right? I'm looking at probably like if Bruce Brown is available, I take him back, and then I'd take back obviously like a first round pick or something, and then who knows after that, right? It doesn't exactly really work out in my opinion contractually. I would also take Kentavious Caldwell-Pope because I know he can shoot. So it's not exactly that great of a return, right? That trade won't change the fact that we still need a first option. Oh, I 100% agree. Like DeMar DeRozan being traded, you're not trading DeMar DeRozan for a first option, right? That is straight up impossible because in my opinion, DeMar DeRozan isn't a first option, right? I mean, I think that's kind of obvious that if we're trading DeMar DeRozan, we're not getting a first option return, right? That's just straight up facts. So I said though that for next season that I just don't think that we're gonna have that true first option. If we trade DeMar DeRozan, I just don't think we're gonna have that true first option. It's just gonna be Zach, right? And then we'll figure out who the number 2 is, which I would hope is either Patrick Williams or someone else. It might just be Vooch because we might just bring him back, which I won't be opposed to that. But we'll figure it out, and then hopefully we can figure out just more 3-point shooting, etc. Right? Would you be mad if AKM doesn't trade or doesn't move DeMar? I won't be mad in a sense because I think that I'm also kind of just expecting DeMar to be here. Like I'm aware of all these rumblings that Casey Johnson's kind of saying, and like there's been some other stuff that's been coming out, right? I'm also just aware that this front office has said continuity, right? So I'm just like, okay, I'm expecting the worst, which is that we keep him here. And if he's here, it is what it is, right? I'm not gonna be throwing fits about it. But I guess I'll just say this though. I think one of DeMar or Vooch has to be off the roster next season, in my opinion. Okay, it's one or the other. I don't care which one. Like, I'll be okay. Like, I won't be happy, but I'll be all right if at least one of DeMar or Vooch is off the roster next season, right? And if Vooch is gone, then like obviously you need like a decent replacement. I'm not expecting a big replacement. I'm just expecting just a decent replacement, just so we can just at least move on, right? Move on a little bit from 90s play style. That's I at least just want that, just at least a nudge in the right direction. MJ is a decent return, long shoots, etc. He needs to be set because without Jokic's numbers are terrible for a reason. Yeah, like again, if we get Michael Porter Jr. for DeMar DeRozan, that's a win. I just don't overall think that. Like, I think people are thinking, oh, Michael Porter Jr. is going to come in and be the guy, and I'm like, no, he's not. I'm here to tell you that Michael Porter Jr. is not going to come in here and be the guy. Okay, now he could definitely be the second option for next season if we don't get a second option, right? I'll be okay with that, and Zach's the first option for next season, and then figure it out from there. Because then maybe you can trade Michael Porter Jr. down the line and actually get a legit first option, right? But I just don't want fans to come in and think, oh, Michael Porter Jr. is here to save us, and he's gonna come in and be the number 1 option. And I'm like, no, it's not gonna happen. Just don't expect that to happen because he needs to be set up. Like, I think that's something that people don't really understand, is that he needs to be set up a lot for his shots right now. I think he's going to get better at creating his own shot later on, but for now, he needs to be set up, okay? His contract's also pretty huge, so it's kind of something that I'm just like, it is what it is. It would, in my opinion, as people are saying, like if we don't move DeRozan, it would definitely be just disappointing. I'm not going to be straight up mad. I would be disappointed, though. Because I feel like that's not allowing this team to actually get to its potential. Because when I look at Patrick Williams, when I look at Dalen Terry, Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, Zach, right? These guys are molded for modern day basketball. But when you have a guy like DeRozan, it just limits you in doing that, right? It limits your ability to actually get these guys to play more modern style. And to me, that's more important to develop these guys along the right path than it is to actually be like full out winning next season. Okay, I think in 2024 though, that's when it's like winning needs to be serious. Okay, but next season, I think this Bulls team could just, if you trade DeMar, you get some decent return back, you have a pick back, and get some veteran players that can shoot the 3-ball. Okay, I think this Bulls team, I'm gonna straight up just come out and say, if Zach's your number 1, and then you have a decent number 2, I don't know who it is, right? Figure it out, and maybe Patrick Williams evolves into that. I think this Bulls team wins more than 42 games next season. I think they get to like 43, 44. It's just straight up because you're playing better basketball, right? This Bulls team in general, right, has been defensively. I know this game was kind of up and down, but defensively, this Bulls team has been good. I think if you take DeRozan off of this Bulls team, this defense is just going to look better, okay? And then it just allows you to play, again, more modern style, more points in fast break, more transition opportunities, more three-point shots, and obviously, more importantly, more paint points, right? That's what it allows you to do. And I just think that that's something that all right, sorry guys. I don't know what happened. I just I saw that I saw that I lagged. Yeah. Don't know what's happening, but my internet. Oh, sorry. I pulled up my stream on my phone to try to message you guys on the chat. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. My internet has been having some of these weird little outages where it just suddenly kind of just dies for a second. Like, I still have internet, but it's just for some reason slow. So I do apologize about that. But yeah, just I'll finish my point, and like it is time for me to wrap up here. I do have to go and do some work here. But yeah, just to wrap up, like I just think that if you take DeMar off this roster, okay, like I'm aware you're taking a 26 point per game scorer off this roster, but we have to understand that like the way he gets his 26 points is much different compared to how some of these other guys in the league get 26 points, right? And I think that if you're able to take him out, right, you get more points, you get more opportunities for some of these other guys, right? But at the end of the day, the shot selection overall is just going to improve, okay? You're going to shoot more efficient shots, which in my opinion is going to help this team look a little bit better offensively. And I'm aware that DeMar DeRozan in isolation has done a fantastic job. And I do think that next season, if DeRozan is gone and the Bulls don't have a point guard, like I do think the Bulls are going to struggle to close some games. But to me, it's not going to matter too much because we've seen that even this season with DeMar DeRozan on the roster that the Bulls have struggled to close games, okay? So I understand that like everyone's going to be like, oh my God, like what are we going to do at late game situation? Like I understand that's like a big concern, but at the end of the day, this Bulls team has sucked in terms of clutch games, right? This team has sucked in terms of closing out games or just trying to, make the clutch shot, right? Obviously, part of that's on Zach too. Zach needs to do better, but but we know that DeMar DeRozan is the guy on this roster. He's the guy that's going to get the last shot at the end of a game, and he's the guy that is going to be isolating down the stretch. I'm aware that goes away, but I'm just also saying like that's something that the Bulls have struggled with this entire season. So yeah, I do think the Bulls are going to struggle next season to close out games, but we've struggled to close out games this season with DeMar DeRozan on the roster. So in the end, to me, it doesn't really matter if he's gone, right? If the Bulls were like a great team in clutch games, right, and it was because DeMar DeRozan is like one of the best players in the clutch, right? Which, by the way, if you look at DeMar DeRozan's efficiency field goal percentage in the clutch, it's not great, okay? But if, let's say the Bulls were like flipped in terms of clutch games, right? You have an argument to keep DeMar here. But to me, there just isn't much of an argument anymore. We're not shooting enough threes. The Bulls in clutch time is just, they're not good with him on the roster, right? And you're seeing now that it's time to start giving some of these other guys opportunities, okay? Like, I honestly, just being genuinely honest, if the Bulls, if they get rid of DeRozan and they don't start someone else at the small forward and he will at power forward, I want Dalen Terry to start next season. And I know it's kind of like you're thinking youth movement, but I honestly think that we're looking at kind of the team, come in 2024, 2025. Like, that's going to be the team that's going to really be moving forward, right? And, Zach's in the middle of his prime. We got Patrick Williams starting to finally get through, right? Kobe White is, on his second contract, right? That's kind of where I'm, like, looking at this team. And then, you got to obviously figure out how you get the number one scorer on this roster, right? But that's something for, you know, when we have more picks down the road, which the Bulls are going to get more picks as we continue moving along here, right? So to me, I want to see some of these younger guys get a little bit more opportunity next season, kind of help them develop, because then in 2024, that's when I think things get serious. And it's really, really important that this Bulls team is able to really take advantage of the 2024 offseason and start being able to start heading towards that contention window, and take advantage. Because then at that moment in 2024, that season, Zach's 30, right? And I feel like that Zach, in my opinion, has like 3 good years left of like being at like all-star, like for sure all-star form. We'll see how long, like Zach's gonna stay in the league for a long time, obviously, but I don't know how long this all-star level form is gonna last for him. But the way that he came back after this surgery, right, and he's 28 now, I have good overall feeling about him moving forward. So I think Zach's gonna be playing at this level for the next three to 5 years, and the Bulls gotta take advantage, right? Obviously, then P. Will has to develop, Terry has to develop, I has to develop, Kobe has to develop, and then obviously then we have to make some more moves. So to me, it all just kind of lines up. If you trade DeRozan, if you don't trade DeRozan, it can still happen. I just think then you might be a step behind, and that's where I get a little bit concerned that you're not moving forward quickly enough with this team, where you need to start moving forward, right? And getting away from this core that was built that wasn't exactly amazing, right? So that's my overall thoughts on it. I do appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I know it's a short stream. Crazy Bulls win, crazy comeback win. It was crazy to watch. And honestly, the best win of the season, in my opinion. Biggest game of the season on Tuesday, right? Tuesday. So Bulls gotta get this game, in my opinion. You gotta get this one. Show me that you're able to get this one, and we're looking pretty solid after that. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight, or today, I should say. Hope you have a good rest of your Sunday. And if you're not hit the like button on the stream, I would appreciate if you do hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. And yeah, I'll see y'all in the next stream. All right, peace, y'all.